From being the most versatile player the sport has ever seen, to reaching the highest peak and still improving. Shohei Ohtani for many is the best player in the world, while some believe he's the greatest. But there are many reasons to suggest that, at the very least. Think about it for a minute. He peaked in 2021 with that insane calendar year performance, and that really seemed like the highest ceiling that he could reach. But then came the year 2023, and Ohtani's been at it again. This time making history by taking Japan to the World Baseball Classic win over the United States. Of course, I'll come back to that later. Considering it is one of the many reasons why the Japanese star is so special. But let's start with something that he's truly known for. The fact that Ohtani is a two-way player. And again, don't get me wrong, we've seen many two-way players over the years. But it is still very rare to see someone being a true two-way player in baseball. Someone who can pitch and hit. Pitching has to be one of the most challenging positions on its own. And many position players don't concern themselves with pitching. While natural pitchers can swing at times, they aren't great at batting. That's where Ohtani comes in. Look at the way he made history back in 2021. He became the first MLB player in history to make the All-Star team as both a pitcher and a hitter. And that was a long time coming. Before the show, the last player to pitch 100 innings and make 200 appearances as a batter in the same season was the legendary Babe Ruth. That should tell you about the kind of company he's keeping as a two-way player. But some might argue that even Ruth couldn't do it just as perfectly as Ohtani's managing. Yeah, he's not just a two-way player, he's great at it. Just take a quick look at his recent star performance for Japan, which earned him the MVP award. On the offensive end, Ohtani took Japan to their third WBC victory with an insane .435 batting average. During this stretch, he hit 4 doubles and a home run. Compare that to the league-wide batting average in the MLB, which is around .250, and you'll see what I'm trying to explain here. Now, if that wasn't impressive enough already, he also recorded the hardest hit ball in the WBC 2023 with a speed of 118.7 miles per hour, and also tied for the longest home run, peaking at 448 feet. But what impressed me the most was his performance on the mound. 3 pitching appearances covering just over 9 innings. Ohtani recorded 11 strikeouts and just 2 walks. And he also tied the fastest thrown pitch of the tournament at 102 miles per hour. All this against the very best baseball players in the world, considering how he struck out his Los Angeles Angels teammate Mike Trout, who in his own right is very special. But that's what's impressive about this show. These numbers are an anomaly and are well above the average, and he's doing it all while wearing 2 different hats. Yet he could still be getting better. Numbers don't lie, and he really seems to be improving. The 2021 season was truly impressive. Then the 2023 WBC blew that run out of the water. But many believe that we still haven't seen the best of the Japanese superstar. Given how reliant baseball is on stats, numbers seem to be the best measure of one's brilliance. For Ohtani, his increasing value is best reflected by his WAR number. WAR measures a player's value in all facets of the game and determines how many more wins he's worth than any other replacement-level player in the same position. Back in Ohtani's debut season, his WAR was 3.9. In 2021, it increased to 9, and by 2022, it was 9.6. In fact, it even reached double figures for a while there. Don't forget, he's doing all this while playing for the Angels, a team that hasn't reached the playoffs yet with him. And if he takes them to the playoffs, his prowess is only going to increase. But while we're talking about the Japanese star being the best in the world, some analysts believe he's the greatest ever. Of course, when you talk about the GOATs, it's impossible to overlook Babe Ruth. And the likes of ESPN's June Lee and Dan Secator, along with Brian Joyner, included him in the Ohtani greatness discussions. They factored in the brilliance of Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Ted Williams, and even his teammate Mike Trout, while reaching the conclusion that all these players were doing several things we'd seen before, but they'd never done something that hadn't been seen before. With Ohtani, that isn't the case. He's a worthy candidate for the throne because he's doing something that no one has ever done before. How do you finish 5th in the league in OPS Plus in 2021 and then 6th in the league in ERA plus just a year later. They believe that his existence should be a myth, but it isn't. He's here, and he's beautiful. Others believe that while Ohtani may not be the greatest of all time already, there's a case to be made for him being the most talented player of all time. So much hype, and the season hasn't even begun yet. Of course, he's got his WBC performances to thank for that. And assuming he stays healthy, the world of baseball will get roughly 25 plus opportunities to watch this anomaly in action, as he dominates with his arm, while getting nearly 550 opportunities to watch him dominate with his bat. Not to mention, he's already the betting favorite for the AL MVP. If not for Aaron Judge's outrageous season in 2022, Ohtani would have become just the second player in history to make it 3 straight MVPs. Not that he can't do it still, because he can. Considering he's playing at the standard Ohtani level, there can be no other MVP. Not to mention, his mentality is another thing that sets him apart. Instead of doing his talking in the press conferences, Ohtani leaves it to his game to do that. And all that has led him to winning all kinds of prestigious awards too. He may only be 5 years into his MLB career, but he has his very own trophy room somewhere in his house for sure. Where else do you put 2 ESPY's Best Major League Player of the Year awards, along with an ESPY Best Male Athlete of the Year award, or the American League MVP award, and now the MVP at the WBC to name a few, while also making the All-Star Game and earning the Rookie of the Year honors and Silver Slugger award? All this has been possible because of his passion for the sport. It drives him to be better than everyone else in every aspect. And that's something you don't see very often with players, even at the highest level. Where most pitchers are working on their throwing technique, Ohtani's taking the time to work on his throwing technique and swing. While some hitters are working on making better contact, Ohtani's doing that and working on fielding too. He's 3 steps ahead of every other player in the league. There's a reason the world of baseball hasn't ever seen a dominant pitcher and hitter at the highest level before him.
And they hope more this inning. Shohei drives it. Deep right center field. Oh, Shohei! Gone!
Because there hasn't been one. And his unicorn essence really is the talk of the town. Team Mexico's manager explained how the show has also been nicknamed the Unicorn. And he agreed with the praise because he knows Ohtani up close, because of his role as the Angels' infield coach. He added how he respects Mike Trout more than anyone else, but Ohtani's different and unique, agreeing with analysts that he's even better than Ruth, because he's already shown consistency in hitting and pitching in 3 seasons now. And Ruth only managed it in back-to-back seasons. John Smoltz, Fox Sports MLB analyst, agreed with this, explaining how this aspect of his game still goes under the radar. And I have to agree wholeheartedly. That's all I had on Shohei Ohtani being the best baseball player in the world.